All right, so good day, class. So today we're going to discuss about leading team and managing relationships. As you can see, class, projects, they're not only comprised of resources that you have to manage, but they're all comprised of people. Okay? So when you are the project manager, when you are the architect managing the project, you think of uh, people not only like they exist in the spreadsheet. Okay, so people are not machines. Each has different beliefs, cultures, traditions, and also different behavioral patterns. So if you're going to underestimate the contribution of people in a project, then it's bound that the project would experience a lot of conflict along the way. Okay, so let's read about this. It says never compromise on people, which is something that I agree on. Okay, so one should never compromise on people, but one always does. Why? Because one really gets a perfect fit. It is difficult to assess how people will really perform in a new situation. People have careers and plans of their own, and many resent being pinned down. People, unlike all other factors of production, are animate. They have egos, are passionate, willful, emotional, and make mistakes. And amazingly, many people don't actually have their competency assessed in terms of the specific job they are being asked to perform. The prediction of staff numbers and competencies need to manage the pipeline of upcoming projects and programs becomes a matter of considerable importance. So this was from Morris, 2013. So because of the importance of this topic, leading teams and managing relationships to your success as a project manager, the fourth module is program, okay, leading project teams and managing stakeholders is devoted to the human resource side of project, program, and portfolio management. So for this week, your focus will be on initial discovery of challenges and opportunities inherent in leading teams, managing relationships, and engaging stakeholders. Excuse me, class. Okay, so what are the managers? To Henry Mintzberg, a professor of management at McGill University in Canada, argues that we hardly know what managers actually do, and that is uncertainly management as science. So, Mintzberg identifies four myths about the manager's jobs that he concludes do not bear up under scrutiny. So, let's look at myth is the manager is a reflective, systematic planner. Second, the effective manager has no regular duties to perform. Third, the senior manager with a formal information system management is, or at least is quickly becoming a science and profession. So in the article, Mintzberg describes the facts associated with each of these myths. So pay particular attention to these facts as you study the article and ask yourself how your own experiences and observations of managers relate to the myths and facts. The article by Mintzberg. Okay, so that would be your activity and your first major quiz for the subject. Okay. So based on his analysis of what managers actually do, Mintzberg provides a series of self-study questions on which managers should reflect. Review these carefully and use the questions to complement the insights you are gaining from completing the disk inventory. I will not tackle the disk inventory already because it's too advanced for you, class. Words, the single theme running through the pressures of the job drive the manager to take on too much work, encourage interruption, respond quickly to stimulus, seek the tangible, and avoid the abstract, make decisions in small increments, and do everything abruptly. So, do these pressure sounds familiar? Isn't it remarkable that these challenges seem as relevant today as they were in 1990 when this article was originally published. So I'm sure, class, that pressure is not something that's only exclusive to the working class studying. I'm sure that you also experience pressure in your studies also. So think as your managers, okay, and then think about the pressure that uh, they've been feeling, and what the pressure that the students are also feeling, especially now that it is the pandemic. Now let's look into leading versus managing of the project manager. Leading and managing, class, for me, these are two distinct terms. Okay, so when you say that you're leading, it means that you inspire people to follow you and your example. When you say managing, I think it deals with, I think, using the power that was given to you by the organization to make your subordinates work for you. Okay, so there's a difference between a boss and a leader. So I hope that you will become leaders, not just bosses in your own organizations. Because project managers have resources assigned to their project teams, they have considerable responsibility for the results, but little authority over the team. Okay, so what does this mean, class? I think it means that they experience, they have a lot of in the projects that they're assigned with, but the authority that they have over the teams that they manage is too little. Reason, leadership skills becomes highly important and should be emphasized with equal importance to that of management skills. Very often, the manager lacks the autonomy and authority to direct control of the project. So this is true, class, especially if you're working for a big firm, when wherein you're assigned as the project manager or the architect of the firm. Of course, you are working under a company, then you are answerable to the organization also, okay, as well as the client, the one of which you're performing the project for. But if you are the owner of your firm, then it would be quite different. So very often, okay, the project manager lacks the autonomy to directly control the project. In hierarchical organizations, the level held by project managers is often on par with that of technical experts. So it may not even be a functional manager who typically controls the resources needed for a project. So a functional manager class is different because a functional manager, that is what you call the um, in big organizations, I think that's the traditional managers. Okay. So they are the traditional managers handling a specific department, for example. Okay. Um, the dynamics, class, of project management in large organizations is that they are already functional managers for each department, and then what the company does is that they hire or assign project managers certain project, which means that the project manager may have little authority over the people assigned to them, especially if those people came from different functional managers. Okay? So in this situation, the project manager has responsibility for the success of the project, but almost no direct authority. So in these situations, project managers need to lead with influence skills. So notice that these are called soft skills and are often disparaged by senior managers. So traditionally, skills have no bottom line relevance in the organization's accounting system. So internal organizational culture. So so we'll address the effects of cross-cultural differences on the management of projects. Because organizations have their own internal cultures, and some are project friendly. So project managers may be given little status and authority. So often factors affect projects as well. So Anguris 1990, Argyris 1990 has shown that some organizations have a culture in which problems cannot be discussed. That problems cannot be discussed, it itself is not discussable. So for the long term, For the reason, long-term and often deep-seated problems cannot be resolved. So imagine trying to manage a project in a culture with meaningful post-product reviews and benefit from authentic lessons learned analysis. It will be really hard, especially if you cannot review the lessons learned from past projects. So class, someday, when you have your own projects, I think it would be good if you learn um, from each project as you move along the way. Okay? It's important that you note the lessons learned for the first residential building that you're going to design and build as an architect so that you could implement the best practices of your first project and then avoid the practices which made it harder for you. Okay? So you may also encounter organizations in which risk identification and assessment managers have the mistaken notion that if you discuss risk, negative attitudes. So, and the belief is that everyone must have a can-do outlook all the time. So this is unrealistic and counterproductive viewpoint. So since risk management have an inherently positive and proactive focus of identifying things that may go wrong so that they can be mitigated and managed. Okay? So all of the challenges described above may even be greater in situations where team members and stakeholders are dispersed across locations and time zones. So imagine class if you're working for an international company, then your members and team the stakeholders they are from different time zones. For example, one is working in New York, and one is in Japan, and then one is in China, and then you are in the Philippines. So imagine the challenges that you're going to face. So Verberg, Bosch, Zetsima, and drive these challenges and discuss in detail the four conditions for successful project executions in a dispersed setting. So these include clarity in rules of communication. So you must have clear rules when you communicate. Project management style and goal setting. Good style in project management and should set goals. Managers' competencies, trust in a team. So I think for me, class, the most important class is that you establish trust in each other. Especially if project manager and you're leading, you must trust your subordinates and then the subordinates must trust you as well in your judgment. So project managers in the study also stress the importance of both corporate and technology support. Okay. So corporate and technology support class, it's really imagine a class that we are doing and distance learning like this without the support of technology. So it would really be hard. Okay. So like what I've said before, it would really be hard class if we do a synchronous lecture every time. Some would you just be sleeping. Okay. So that's why we do asynchronous lecture so that you could manage your time. You can watch our lectures, you can review that from time to time. Okay. Then that's why I also give considerations in the deadlines. Because it's really challenging when you do distance learning. Okay? So without the support of technology, it would be really hard, especially in this time of pandemic. And I really hope that this pandemic could end, that we could go back to normal. So I think that's it for this week. So I hope that you learned something. So the gist class of the lecture is the importance really of people working for the project, working for you in the project. So if you're already an architect someday, it's important you recognize the importance of the people working for you, the skilled, the foreman, and then the labor contribute plus to make your project successful. Okay, so you should treat them well, but at the same time, you should make sure that the goals that you set will be achieved. Okay? So what I'm telling you, class, is um, you should pay your workers well. Okay? So you know that we're still a developing country, and then there are some instances when the contractors don't pay their personnel well. So that's something that you must avoid because your project would not be successful with you alone. So you need them. Okay? Then architects, you need also your apprentices and your draftsmen in making sure that you achieve project success. Okay, so I will post the links class for this activity. No, the links, I'm going to post the soft copies of the articles that were mentioned. Then I'm going to perhaps to water down some of the questions so that it will be easier for you and will still be maintained as well sa book. So if you have any further questions or clarifications, please don't hesitate to contact me. We're going to discuss about this, the project management, especially in the international settings, because you need to be updated class because the books, I think what I've noticed is the past resources on project management in this course are already okay, so we have to update. Then at the next half during the final term, we're going to discuss about the different tools management. So stay safe, class. Then see you next meeting.